You ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Ron Johnson of RJ's Farm, Horsemanship Communication. Thanks for tuning in today. This here is Bullseye. Bullseye is a customer's horse, and this video is primarily to just post and put up so that his owner, Erica, has something to judge his progress. But hopefully you guys will learn something too. And if you have questions about anything, it'll open up room for some dialogue. All in all, he's a great horse. He's so sweet. He's a little on the goofy side, but that's from, I'm going to say, lack of education, but not. He's an off the track standard bred, and he has some really good training. He's really good. Like, he stands well for everything. He's pretty polite. He's just, his nerves get to him when he doesn't know what's going on. And he's much better now. I've had him, I think we're almost at 2 weeks. Sunday will be 2 weeks. Today is Wednesday. So a week and a half we've had him. And he's doing great. So I'm going to start with taking him over to my stuff, give him a quick brush, and I'm going to throw a saddle on. He's, off the track, so he's used to equipment, so that's not an issue. And his owner did a really good job at teaching him to stand still for the process, so he'll pretty much ground tie. We'll see if he'll do that out in the middle of a field with his grass, and if that sled makes noise, if he's not comfortable with that, we might get a reaction out of him. But for the most part, he stands completely still. The last time I saddled him, he did not move at all. So I expect him to ground tie for this. So we'll go over and grab me a brush, let him check this stuff out. And I'm just going to throw the rope on the ground. And once you start doing something with him, he knows his job. So this part doesn't really need a whole lot of work. Something may show up to help me fine tune it. I'm not going to do a great thorough brushing. I don't need to spend. Yeah, I kind of figured with grass distraction, I might get some sort of a. Yeah, back up. Good. Now I'm going to tease him with some directly under his nose here. And if he does well for me, I'm going to let him have some. But I got my hand here ready to say, don't do it. So I'm just kind of wiggling my hand on his neck to get him. And I'm just going to do the areas where the saddle touches so that nothing pokes him in the back or under the belly where the girth goes. And I do use a rear cinch. I believe in using it, even if whoever is going to do whatever, they don't use it. I believe in having him prepared for it, and if you don't use it, it's no big deal. But if he's not prepared for it and you do use it, then it becomes a problem. So I believe in taking care of that. Switch hands so I can get him back up here. Come on. Okay. So, and you notice, even though he's going down for grass, he's really not moving his feet. So she did a really good job on that. As long as he doesn't creep forward, I'm going to let him eat. Okay. There you go. Okay, so the sound of that brush got him. So I'm going to pick up that rope. I'll leave it on the ground. Just going to do that a few more times. Okay. Now he'll know that this is part of his job, and he'll just stand there like a tree. More than likely, anyways. It's my experience with him so far. Plenty of room. Okay. Nope. Good boy. Let's see, is this set for you? It's set for someone much bigger than you. Apologize for breathing right into the microphone. Something about winter. Working in the winter makes you breathe a little bit heavier. I'm going to leave that like that for now. That should be perfect. Keep that thing right on the ground and just leave him ground tied. If he starts to move, I'll just step on the rope. He gives the pressure reasonably well. I had a few issues the first time I was leading him. The first few times I was leading him, he would want to go by me. And so we worked on that. Now he stops when I stop. He backs when I back. He does that pretty good. And that's probably going to be good enough for now. And I don't know if I'll try climbing on him or not. There's a couple of things last time I worked with him that I noticed. I know Zona's been on him. She's climbed on bareback and done some stuff in just a halter. And you know, his disposition's pretty good. If he likes you, he's a very pleasant boy. The problem comes if he gets nervous and scared. He kind of gets a bit silly. But we've been working on that, and he's been coming down pretty good when his emotions go up. But I'm that type of person where if the emotions go up, I continue asking whatever it was we were trying to do in that, and maybe it was just something that happened, like I picked up the rope and moved my hands. You know, if he had a reaction to that, I'd just keep moving my hands until he learned. That way he has to face that emotion and think through it. Same thing with, you know, when I was teaching him about the flag, he was scared to death of this. And every now and then he still has an emotional reaction. But I don't desensitize when I use a flag. I work in a way that this flag is amplifying a question or a suggestion. So here I'm talking to his hind end. I want his hind end to move away from me. It's not moving. He's going forward. So I use the flag to amplify the hind end. And you see, he's trying to work his way around me. The directional flow of energy that I'm traveling this way should make his front feet come this way, his hind feet go that way. But what's happening is he's going that way instead. So when I look at the directional flow of energy, is his direction, yeah, see, now he's coming towards me. He's not skirting around me. He's hesitant, but so I need him to come. So I'm going to throw energy into his hip. Now he's skirting around me. So I'm going to change my energy more this way to do more draw on the front. Yeah, now I got him back. So now I can go back and see if I can get that hind end and the front end. Nice job. Good job. And it's a little slow and pokey, but that's okay. Because in the beginning, it's all about understanding. And you'll be amazed at the difference understanding can make in anxiety. And that's the truth in everything. That's the truth in us as well. The better we understand a situation, the less anxiety we're going to have about it. So here, I just pushed his shoulder through, and I'm going to push his hind end. So before, he didn't understand moving through his shoulder at all. He had no idea, which is understandable, you know. Off the track, standing bred in a cot, always moving in a straight line with a slight bend going around the corners. So it's always forward stuff. Going through the shoulders is not something that he was used to. So one of the biggest problems I'm having with him is like that shoulder crowds me and the nose goes out. So as he's going by me, the shoulder's crowding, but the nose is tipping out. What I'm trying to work on most, to see how that nose is out right here, I want to draw it in while pushing here. Yeah, see how he's got a nice bend there? The pole was off for a second. So let's do that again. He goes out, he's got a decent bend, pole's staying good, a little too straight. There, now that's really good. So we're gonna do that again. We're gonna send him out, draw that nose, push on that rib cage. There, we got a nice bend. Nice. Hey, you're supposed to stop. Thank you. Okay. And so this side, every time I walk by him, he'll turn and he'll come to me almost right away. You know, so this side is a little different than the other side. This side, I need to work on getting the shoulder out and the nose in, right? Which that's very good. Send him out again. Out, nose in, hind end. Good job. And those just subtle energies pushing on the body. It really is about directional flow of energy. And I speak about this a lot. And a lot of people don't recognize the importance of it or the effectiveness in it. We have a directional flow of energy. It makes sense to them. That's their native language. They speak to each other in that way when they're in a herd. And when we're doing things and we go, you know, I'll give you an example. A lot of people start a lunge like this, right? And what happens? He comes to me, right? But if you want him to go out in a circle from here, you got to step into him and give him a directional flow that tells him where to go and what to do. If I step back, the hind end moves away, right? And same thing, a lot of people will do this. And they wonder why their horse won't go out. You gotta use a directional flow of energy, right? And it's not, you know, this isn't something we teach our horses. This is something we learn for ourselves. You know, he's a horse. This is his native language. He knows this stuff. So I'm really not teaching him anything other than that he can count on me when I say it, which is another piece of why a lot of horses have anxiety, because we do things like this and then yell at them for coming in when all we need to do is say, go back out. You know, we don't realize what we're saying to the horse. That's the biggest picture. So most of the horses, you know, some of the horses that come in here, they are traumatized from other experiences, whether it be something that would traumatize any other horse, and they're the only, you know, maybe they're the only horse in the world that would ever get traumatized by that situation. That doesn't really matter. The issue is that the horse feels that the world is going to end because they can't trust and they don't understand what's happening. And so some of them horses that come in, they take a long time to get through to. I'll send that shoulder out. And we've got a nice shape. And so right here, I'm guiding him forward with my right side. Now that extra energy brought that trot up. I didn't really want it, but because I was trying to show you directional flow of energy, I'm pushing with my right side and guiding with my left side. When I cross that camera, you'll notice that my belly button or sternum, hand, and his nose are lined up. And this is pushing from behind. So I'm guiding. You'll see it here. And you'll see it here. Right? So I'm stepping to the shoulder. And then I'm stepping to the nose. Now he's having some issues here. And it's not uncommon for a horse to have a few issues when I'm talking to a camera or talking to somebody else. You know, when we work, normally I'm quiet, and now all I do is click or cluck or kiss or something like that. I didn't want that, so I'm just going to work on going through the shoulder, through the hind end. If he goes too far, I'm going to stop him with the flag. Through the shoulder, through the hind end. Now he ran into the rope, so the rope did that, not my body language, so we got to do that again. There, that time it was my body language. So if he finds the end of that rope and I feel that bounce off my palm, then I know that he was overreacting and not flowing with the energy. So that's a reminder for me to get back into working in a flow. Stay in a flow. Let's change, push, shoulder, change. Yeah, he did it without me adding the flag. That was great. All body. Okay? And so what is the primary energy that he's reading, right? There's multiple energies. So here, I'm guiding with my body, directional flow this way. My shoulder opens up. My arm and my finger points. I step with my left and push with my left hand, right? So there's a multitude of cues to do this exercise. Which ones is he listening to and which ones is he ignoring? That is the key to progressing in these things, right? And so how do you figure that out? You start with, let's go. Yeah, I didn't have to step and I didn't have to push. Just the turn and the point was good. So let's see, let's back them up. Let's see. Hey. If he'll do it on just the shoulder. So I'm going to keep this down and I'm just going to turn my shoulder. Not enough. So I'm going to come back here, turn my shoulder. Well, not enough. So here we go. We're going to go through the whole thing with a little extra energy at the end. Okay, so here we go. Let's try it with just the shoulder. Oh, I took a step. Just the shoulder. The guiding step, the pushing step. Okay, just the shoulder. The guiding step, the pushing step. Okay, so he's got some emotion and his head's still high and his nose is pointed. So, right, and he's pulling on my rope. And so I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing until he works his way through this. I'm not trying to scare him. I'm not trying to desensitize him. All I'm trying to do is say, hey, we're having a conversation. You remember the exercise we were working on? So he's settling, so I can slow the rope, I can slow the flag down, and we're going to go right back to doing it this way. We'll stop him. Now, so he's got some anxiety still, so we're gonna do a lot of quick goes and stops. Goes, and we're gonna push on the hip this time. Goes, put it out in front of him this time. Go, hip this time. Go, out in front of him this time. Go, hip this time. Okay, so he's got some anxiety, so it would be foolish for me to slow down and say, oh, that's okay, buddy. That's okay. No, it's better if we just work. We're not being mean to him. We're not hurting him in any way. All we're doing is asking him to use his brain and figure things out. You see how much smoother he gets? So now to test that, I'm going to go a little bit more. Right, and so we're still getting some, but you see how quickly he's coming down when I make my changes? He's able to, so the goal isn't necessarily to remove the fear or remove the anxiety. The biggest point we should take out of this is when our horse loses his mind, which a lot of horses do, and when they do, they completely lose their mind. They have no ability. All they think of is self-preservation, and they'll kill themselves trying to protect themselves from something that's not even an issue, right? And so when we see emotions, we want to work on those emotions to a point in which they can still respond and effectively move and do their job even though they're emotional, you know. And my first session with him, he went to walk by me, and he got a little emotional, and he did not really know what to do. So I had to kind of keep my arms out and my elbows out and make sure that, you know, if he came my way, he's going to hit my arm or something and push me away from him, and he's not going to get close enough for me to get my legs tangled up into his and end up in a wreck. You know, but now, even though he gets emotional, he's responding in a very good way. And so here, I'm going to work on some drifting, some lateral work. There we go. I should probably switch hands for this. The rope's getting in my way. And so this is, you know, conditioning, building up his dexterity, giving him an understanding of keeping his nose into me, and doing, you know, this is just getting some work on some lateral. Up, 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 up. So he went the wrong way. Little extra motion, little extra energy. So too much forward, so we pushed him back. Too much forward, so we push him back. Too much forward. There. He seems to do better when his butt's towards the sun or his butt's towards the camera, but not so good with that sled up behind him. And I don't know if it's the sled or the why is not important. The fact is, we need this sort of a reaction, and we're getting this, and see that that's just forward. So what we're going to do is, as he comes across right here, say, don't go forward, go sideways. Thank you. Right? And so I don't like to just say no to a horse. I like to give him the alternative. So we're pushing. So we're taking away the part he's not supposed to do, and then reiterating on the part he is supposed to do. Good job. Right, so we want to really get inside his brain and give him an understanding. He gets emotional sometimes, but he seems, I don't know how to explain it really, but he seems very willing . So again, he's doing well down here. Let's see what happens up the other side. Oh, too much forward, too much forward. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, so if you look at his body, you can see what's going on in his mind. Everything in his body tells you what's going on in his mind. That high head, the nose is a little forward, it's a little crooked. His pole is actually tipped a little to the right instead of to the left. So all that tells me there's some cross-firing in his thoughts. The thoughts, and when I say cross-firing, I mean anxiety or emotions are getting in the way. And so we want to just talk to him in a way that says, hey, I know this bothers you, but you can trust me. When I'm in the situation, when I'm in the picture, and I'm a part of things, you can trust that I got you. I got your back. Okay, so over there, it's a little different going this direction as it was in this side. So we're going to push him backwards, take him sideways. Push him backwards, take him sideways. Let's see if we can't. Okay. And so you probably see me going from here to here, here to here. That's because my shoulder is drawing the nose in that direction. And if he goes too far, I'm shoving it back in that direction. All just through an assumed pressure of directional flow of energy. So here, he's not catching up to me. There, now he's caught up. Now I can keep doing what I'm doing. And if I want a straight line stuff, I'm going to open up a little bit and say a little more forward. A little more forward. And I'm gonna lead him a little bit. I'll get a little ahead of his nose and say, come on, pick up the pace. Right? And if he doesn't, I'll just flip the flag a little bit and say, come on now, catch up. There, you caught up. Good job. Right? So I'll lead him just a little and ask him to catch up. All right? And so by doing that, I'm going to get rid of the flag for a minute. By doing that, what he learns is not to pass through my energy, right? He'll learn that my energy is a target. So like two fixed points trying to focus in on something. You got a right eye and a left eye, and you want to look at something. You need them both. You know, if you cross your eyes, you're going to see double, right? And I know his eyes don't work the same as ours. I'm just using this as a reference. But so his flow and our flow are like two eyes trying to see something in perfect vision. So, not that we're doing it in a visual fashion. We're kind of doing it in an energetic fashion, so that if I walk here, he knows not to go in front of me. Now, he did not know this when he first came, or at least he didn't show that he did. He was constantly trying to run by. And so now, if I walk, he's just going to get out of the way. And so here, now, he could pass me, right? But I've taught him when I stop that he needs to stop. And I also taught him that when I back, he needs to back. If he doesn't, I'm going to ask him to go back. And if he doesn't, then I'm going to walk into his nose and push his hind end while backing up. And the reason for that is it now takes that 2 point from the center for that focal point and puts it into my shoulder, so that when we're here, now my shoulder has the ability to send him back. He's not doing it. So let's work on this a little bit. He actually does this very well, so I don't know what's going on. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. Good job. Okay, and so now I'm going to transition into his right eye, send him out. And I'm going to walk with him a little bit to push him forward. So now my shoulder's behind. Excuse me. My shoulder's behind, pushing. He's stuck. He's stuck. Right? So my shoulder's behind, pushing. My nose, when I transition from here to here, you saw my energy go in front. That stopped him from going forward again. So now we'll do the same stuff this side. And so this is just kind of giving an energetic flow. So I send it out and then bring an energy back to him. And if he doesn't go, I eventually let it touch his chest. And, you know, if he's belligerent about it, then it's going to come back and it's going to touch his chest a little bit harder than just a tap, you know. But if we're working, and so the fact that I'm going left now when I'm on his right side is transitioning all my forward energy power, my forward energy, directional flow of energy into my shoulder. And now when I pivot like this, I can send him backwards and bring his nose away from me. He's not backing, so I'm going to touch his chest. There we go. There. Now we got some backing, so I'm going to let him straighten out. And, you know, this isn't me saying do it or else. This is me explaining something so that he understands it as well as I do, so that we're not in any arguments. It's a learning process. You know, it's not demand. I'm not doing this because I want this from him. I'm not even doing this because his owner wants this from him. I'm doing this because it's best for him to learn it. If he understands it, then he won't be a horse that people are afraid to do stuff with. You know, the more he understands, the better he's going to be. And the better he's going to be, the more likely he's going to get used and go out and enjoy life. Even if the pen he lives in, is 5 or 15 acres, or, nobody really has those bigger places. My pens are maybe 3/4 of an acre each. This one's probably a half acre. The one on the other side's probably a little shy of a half. 2 out front are probably 1/4 of an acre each. And 5 or 6 horses live in them, and it's nice, but it's kind of like you living in your living room if you never get to go out. And how many people get claustrophobic if they don't get to go out? Whether it be to go out for dinner, go out watch a movie, just go shopping, go see a show, whatever. You got to do something to feel good, and a horse can't do that if we don't take them. They're stuck in that pen all the time. So we got a little emotion here, so I'm going to work on that. And so how I recognize he's having an issue was when you see him, and I'll try and get him in a place where his head's supposed to be. Yeah, right here. He's nice and pretty comfortable. But then when I do this, see the head goes up and that nose goes forward, that's telling me he's got an emotional issue with what I'm doing. And so I got to show him. I'm not going to say just do it. I'm going to show him that if he can do this very quietly. Yeah, good job. Now see, he relaxed into that request. Head came down, face got a little more vertical. Ideally, when all emotion is gone, you're going to have virtually this right here with a nice little crest here. Might be a little bit lower, but there'll be a little bit of a crest here. And he'll be very vertical, and his head will be at a nice low level. And he'll do that all by himself. I know a lot of people use martingales and tie downs and all kinds of stuff to get that out of a horse. But in my experience, and I've done it with a bunch, hundreds, all you got to do is remove the anxiety, give them some understanding, show them some appreciation, and it happens automatically. You don't even have to do that extra. So here we got that emotion. So I'm just going to keep doing this, even though he's doing what I'm just going to keep doing it. Yeah, he's softening in my direction and he's walking away, moving with that directional flow of energy, nice and quietly. So let's do that again. What do we got? Okay, so it started out poor. Let's do it again. See, it's coming back a whole lot faster now. So let's just keep working on it until it no longer bothers him and he understands what's happening. So the head moved away quickly. That's okay. Nope. All right, so I got to do it to where my hand's not coming directly to his eye. Little hind end movement there, please. Thank you. Okay, and so the reason I did that was instead of going away like that, he was just trying to walk a bigger circle away from me. And you know, if you want to translate that thought is more escape than compliance. And I paused there because I didn't really want to use that word compliance, but I can't come up with a better word. Because it's not about getting him to do what I want. It's getting him to understand what he needs to do. And like right now, there's no big deal. We're in an open field. There's nothing in the way. No holes, no stumps, no rocks. There's a little bit of snow. You know, but we go on a trail course or, you know, we start getting out in the real world, there might be a bucket on the ground or a rock or a stump or, you know, maybe we don't want him stepping on something that has a sharp edge, or maybe we want him to get away from something that has a pointy thing sticking out. You know, it becomes important then. So right now, it doesn't seem so important, but when you put it in context, he's got to understand when we apply a directional flow of energy, there's a reason. Okay, so he's not going forward here. I have to ask myself, is it me? Am I pushing into his hind end or am I pushing into his shoulder? You know, at this angle, pushing into his shoulder is pushing in his hind end. At this angle, pushing into his shoulder is sending him out, and then I can twist to guide forward. But if I'm turned just a little bit and I push on his hind end, that's really asking for a backup. And so if he was backing up because my directional flow of energy was saying that, then now I know I'm not pushing into his hip now. So this is him being scared. So we want to show him that he doesn't need to worry. Okay, and so I don't know if you guys have noticed, I mentioned this in most of my videos. When I hold my rope, it's usually just hanging off my thumb, hanging off my fingers. I very rarely close my hand on it unless I'm holding a clump. And then I have this side holding very loosely so that it can slide. And then if I need to, I can just drop this and do whatever I need to do. But my goal here is to not pull back. I want him to move on this. Right? Very lightly. I don't want to have to yank him over. I want him to feel this and move over. Feel this and move over. Right? So that way when I ride, I can ride on a nice loose line. And even a line like this, I can neck rein because this is going to ask him to come to me and this is going to ask him to go away. And then if I had another rein, the weight of that rein is going to pull that way a little bit. Right? So I'll be able to neck rein him on the lightest of feel. So when I work, I want to be able to just leave my rope hanging. If I'm going to pull on him, I'm going to pull on him with this hand. So if he doesn't come, I'm going to pull here, and then I'm going to relax, and then I might readjust, give him some more slack. You know, or if he goes to pull, I'm going to let it slide out. I'm going to actually make him go quite far away and actually pull on me. Yeah, now it's going out. So I'm going to let it out. But notice how light it. And now I'm going to kind of choke up on it, but it can slide. And so here I'm going to just push on that hip. Now, I felt pressure on this hand, and I did have to close my hand because he just wanted to drive away. So we're going to do that again. Now, you can understand. So here he's pulling on me, so I'm going to push on that hip. Right? And I just kept letting that rope slide through my left hand and use this. And when I got to a point where I felt like I was going to have to grab and pull, I just spun the rope to get his attention. And once he looked over, the hind end moved out. He started to circle in behind me. He didn't actually disengage his hind end like he should right here. Right? So I need him to go forward. He gets confused sometimes, especially in this direction for some reason. He always wants to go the wrong way. Well, I shouldn't say always. Okay. So here we're going to do that again. Get him to go. And once he gets by me, I'm going to push on that hip. And notice my hand. I'm just pushing on his hip with my left hand. I'm going to try and do that for the camera. So we're going to push on his hip. Right? And so by going to his hip, I'm also activating that knot. Activating that knot. See, he's moving off the knot. He'll come back to me off that knot. He'll go back out off that knot. He'll come back to me off that knot. Just that little bit of movement is what's going to get him to move for me and be. And when he can do it that nicely and that softly, you know, eventually, you know, you get up there and you ride. Now you're adding body cues, being able to understand how the energy transfers from that hind foot, comes up across the horse's back, down into his front leg. As it crosses the back, it comes into your hip. You have the ability to absorb it, enhance it, resist it. All these things can get more speed, maintain a neutral, or the current energy that is being applied, or we can resist it in a way that says, slow it down, not so quickly, don't take a big step, don't take as big or as far or as fast a step. We can also send it across the body that says, go this way, or we can send it this way, which asks them hind legs to go this way, or we can kind of shove down and in, which is going to ask for a side pass, you know. And if we understand, and it's subtle. I know when I talk to people in riding lessons and I explain to them how they try so hard, it's you see them doing it, which means they're using way too much and it's awkward and it's confusing to the horse. It's so subtle that it's unrecognizable. There are a lot of people who do it naturally. Happens just, they've been riding long enough and they just figured it out. And some of them don't even know that they're doing it, you know. But that right there, once you have that, then you don't need reins, you don't need your legs. All you need is the energy that you can create in this circle right here, you know. But if you've got leg cues and you got the ability to neck rein a horse, or if you have reins, then now you have an insurance policy to where if the horse does have a little bit of an issue, then you can have a little bit of something, you know. And even though, you know, all three of my horses can be ridden bareback and bridleless, and for the most part, I don't need my legs and I don't need reins. Every now and then, they're going to get a little confused, or something else is going to distract them, or they're going to have another opinion of the situation. So sometimes that means add a leg, or sometimes that means touching the neck, you know, because I can touch with my finger on the side of the neck, and if my body is positioned right, that's the same as using a neck rein to go this way. Same thing if I want to go this way, I can use my finger on his neck, you know. And they all stop to the body, and a tap on the shoulders is the cue that I use to say, hey, how come you didn't stop? you know, and if I want to back up, then I just kind of bring my feet back. And so I do this on both sides to send him backwards. And maybe I want to back up, only use one side and just back him with his hind end going in that direction. Then we'll do it with one leg, and I'm using a rein here because he doesn't get it. So we're going backwards, backwards, backwards. You know, a horse that understands that, then I can use my hip to say, let's go. And then my leg to say, how come you didn't? Or, no, I really mean it. You're supposed to go. Just theory and practice and things that make sense to the horse, you know. And I'm not telling you this is the only way to work a horse. I'm not telling you this is the best way to work a horse. I'm just telling you this is a way that works. Oh, you broke a poop loose. Let's just toss that out of here. You know, it's just a way that I know works. I've had a lot of good success with it, and I think it can be helpful to anybody who's interested in applying it. You don't really have to change anything else in the way you do things to apply this stuff. You just got to understand that it exists and learn how to add it to whatever it is you already do. All right. So I think I'm going to stop. Oh, wait. I'm not going to stop. So another thing I like to work on a horse. So when you are neck reining a horse, you might take this leg off, put that outside leg on, and reach your hand over here a little bit to get him to come in this direction, right? And so I work on teaching him that if I step into this stirrup, that he needs to step in my direction. I do it for a couple of reasons. One, for steering, because even if I'm riding without stirrups, if I'm bareback on him, and I step into this foot, even though I'm not stepping into a stirrup, I'm stepping into here. The frame of my body from right here puts the same pressure that the saddle's putting on him right now when I do this. Okay? And so if by chance I get out of balance, or I need him to go in that direction for whatever reason, maybe I want him to do it on purpose, or maybe I accidentally got heavy in my right stirrup, you know, in this situation, left stirrup, but I'm leaning with my right. So that will cue him to get underneath me instead of getting scared and going that way, and I go face first onto the ground. So I like to make sure that a horse will come off of this pressure, you know, and I like it to be a little better than this, but this is really good for, I only did this with him yesterday, and I didn't even have to teach it. He did it. He did it automatically. And for, you know, how things started out with him for the first couple sessions, he got very sensible very quickly. So I'm really not surprised, but it's not super common for horses that show emotions the way he does to not lean against this sort of a pressure. So, you know, so I was minutely surprised at how well he does with that. But I find that something very important. Also, so when you're mounting, and I haven't climbed on him yet, I don't know that I want to climb on him today, but when I do go to climb up and I put my foot in the stirrup, that's going to pull here, and that's going to keep him from going away from me. So it's going to help him stay put better for mounting. So that doesn't seem to phase him. But I'm not ready to actually ride him yet. I probably wouldn't have a problem. I'm just a believer in making sure there's no, all it takes is one stupid little thing, whether he slips and goes crazy and we both fall down and he hurts himself, or you know, something freaks him out and his breathing's getting a little weird. So there is some anxiety to this a little bit. You know, we want to make sure that he's okay. I need him to stay on this side when I do that. So, good job. Good job. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay. All right. So that's as far as I'm going to go today. We're gonna end here. He looks like he's ready for a nap. He did very well. Again, this video was made so that his owner can see how he's doing, get to see it for herself. It gives me the opportunity to explain things, to how I work. She hasn't been able to come out and watch. She did watch me do an evaluation, and she did watch my first session with him when she dropped him off, but she hasn't been able to see anything yet, anything since. So I figured I'd make this video, post it to YouTube, and that'll give her the opportunity to see it, and that'll give other people an opportunity to see it as well, and hopefully they can take something away from it. So if you're still with us, thank you for seeing it through to the end. I appreciate your time, and we'll have another one for you as soon as we can do it. Thanks.